But one farmer says, seems to me there was a tea party in Boston that was illegal too.
I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold.
We shall seek to establish and maintain a dollar which will not change its purchasing and debt-paying power during the succeeding generation.
As anguished shrieks rose up from the floor of the New York Stock Exchange.
Government credit and government currency are really one and the same thing. A reserve of gold and a small reserve of silver.
Why do central banks hold it?
Well, it's a form of reserves.
Why don't they hold diamonds?
Well, it's tradition, long-term tradition.
Well, some people still think it's money.
Hey, good morning. Welcome back to the JUNIUS MALTBY channel. With the holidays approaching, gift season, the Christmas season, and even a new year, I felt it incumbent upon myself to issue a reminder, a warning, and kind of resurface some of the older videos I've done on where to buy or not buy gold and silver. And the emphasis here, the most important part, is the where to not buy, what not to do. There's a couple of these videos I've done in the past. I would say 98% of the information is still relevant. Some of the sites, some of the scammers have been removed and taken down, I believe, and should no longer exist out there. Other sites that are legitimate and good places to purchase are still reputable. They're still out there. APMEX, JM Bullion, SD Bullion, companies like that. I believe Buy Gold and Silver Coins is one of them. And regardless of the name of a company that I give you or anybody gives you, because I never want to be viewed as an influencer or somebody who tries to corral or steer people in one direction or the other. Yes, I believe precious metals are imperative to own and possess physically, to take possession of. And I believe that if you look at the rules I've kind of written down and some of the things that I've learned over the decades of being a gold and silver purchaser, acquirer. I don't like to even use the word investor, just someone who holds precious metals as a hedge. I've written a couple of things in the video descriptions, and you can see them here. I'll go through it really quickly. Let's go ahead and read this intro, and I'm going to share stories with you coming up because there's some things breaking the news now that are very important, and it's because people... I'm not saying because they didn't heed what I said or my warnings, but yeah, maybe if they had watched some of these videos, it would have saved them hundreds of thousands of dollars if they had just been sent a JUNIUS MALTBY video. So if you have older family members, I don't like to use this term, the boomers or those even older than them, you might want to share these videos with them if they're considering purchasing gold and silver. And again, I did not just make this stuff up. These are things that I learned. Okay, so I'm going to do an intro here. I'll read some of the video descriptions that I've shared in the past and posted in some articles. It has been several years since we had a discussion on where to buy and not buy precious metals. So please join the JUNIUS MALTBY channel for today's discussion on this very important subject. After all, it's your money. Now, this is an intro from a video we did 2 years ago. And there was one preceding this about 4 years ago, and another one before that I had done about 6 years ago. So this has been a topic I've been talking about for quite some time, and as the scammers have evolved, so have the videos and the content. Things to know. This is very important. The spot price, that is something you need to know if you're buying gold and silver. The spot price is the current market price at which the asset is bought or sold for immediate payment and delivery. For metals, this is raw metal in large contracts and bars. COMEX, okay, there's a small and a large contract for silver. There's the 1,000 ounce or the 5,000 ounce COMEX silver contract. Now, you're not going to get actual spot. If spot's $17.03 for silver, the only way you're going to pay that is if you are indeed buying a 1,000 ounce or 5,000 ounce silver bars on COMEX contracts. So expect to pay a Seigniorage charge. Now, gold typically is in 400 plus ounce delivery bars, like the London Good delivery bars that you see stacked up in bank vaults when you look at pictures of the Federal Reserve. So you're not going to ever pay spot for gold. It's just not going to happen. And it's hard to not be annoyed when you talk about gold and silver prices with the average layperson or someone who's new to it. I've engaged in the conversation with friends in the past, and they're very confused by when they look at the market price for gold quoted in like the Wall Street Journal or on the news, because it's all around us. You can see the gold price on any financial network. But then they go look at, a 1 ounce gold coin, and they see $100 more than that. That 1% or so more than what the actual quote is. And then you have to explain to them, okay, look, spot price is for a 400 plus ounce like London good delivery bar. You're not going to buy that, my friend. You're paying for the melting down and the breaking down of plankets to be struck by a mint, packaged and shipped, the handling and so on and so forth. And all of that adds up to create that seigniorage charge. That's the difference between the value of money and the cost to produce and distribute it. Hopefully that makes sense. Remember that. It's the cost difference between breaking those bars down and creating coins, essentially. And I don't know why that term's not used more commonly. Now, the seigniorage derived from specie or metal coins. It's a tax added to the total price of a coin, metal content, and production costs. We just covered that a customer of the mint has to pay to the mint. Making coins is not easy, and there's an added cost. Purifying them, weighing them out, forming the plankets, as I just mentioned, making dies, striking them, handling them, packing them, and shipping them. And this is why coins and even smaller units of metal always cost more than spot. This includes even smaller like divisions of bars, different bar sizes and such. For gold, currently, and this is again a video that I made 2 years ago, it was around $30 to $40 over spot was considered to be a fair price per ounce. For silver, about $1 to $2 over spot. And I've seen it a lot less than that. I've seen silver in the 79-cent range recently, depending on if you're getting generic silver and such. If you're getting stuff from a really good reputable mint, like the U.S. Mint, Canadian Mint, Perth Mint, Royal Mint, expect that $1 to $2 or even more. And we're going to get into numismatic versus bullion in a moment. Now that's somewhat of a fair price depending on the volume and the type of coin. I hope that helps those of you out there, those questions there. Again, mint populations, numismatics, all of that. We're going to have to get into that because this branches out into different subjects, and there are a lot of things that can affect the price of a particular, even bullion coin. Something can be struck as bullion but have a scarcity to it because they didn't make a lot of them. All right, now my personal rules for buying precious metals bullion. These are hard and fast. These are like the 10 commandments. I do not stray from these, period. There are some side rules that I don't have listed here because there's some new things that have arisen over time, such as YouTubers that kind of make their own stuff, myself included. I had a coin made, 2 coins, a silver and a gold one. So here's the personal rules for investing in precious metals. Now these would apply to your grandmother, your uncle, your aunt, anyone you're sitting around talking to at Thanksgiving dinner. So you can write these down, you can print it off if you want, highlight or select and copy paste these rules somewhere. Keep them. These are good rules. Don't sign up for anything, period. Don't sign up for anything. No network marketing. That's including that, obviously. You're not going to sign up to have coins delivered on a regular basis. I don't want you signing up for something that involves you getting a coin a month. I don't want you signing up for anything that involves you having to sign up people below you. Okay? There's a company called 7K Metals. Absolute scam. It's a multi-marketing scam. It's horrible. It's one of those things that you're going to, the person's going to come talk to you and try to sign you up and tell you that if you get so many people underneath you, that you'll get more metals for cheaper and such. And it's really a pyramid scheme. That's all it is. Cut and dry, clean and clear, simple. That's exactly what it is. So don't sign up for anything on any site. When you get your fiat, your capital, and you want to exchange it for metals, just do it one transaction at a time. Don't be part of a group or a club or pay any monthly installment or anything like that. So never sign up for anything. That's rule number 1. Do not budge from that. No ifs, ands, or buts. I don't want to hear, well, what about this, or what if this, or what about this company? No, if you have to sign up for it, don't do it. Done. Okay, number 2. This is simple. We just talked about, what spot price is. I want you to pay as close to spot as possible. If you can think and you have a calculator, you should be able to figure out what that is. Take the weight of the metal you're buying, multiply it by the spot price that you see quoted every minute on every financial network on the planet. If you have a smartphone, if you can access the internet or a computer or a copy of the Wall Street Journal, you will be able to see what the price of gold and silver is at least within the last 24 hours. And it shouldn't have changed too much since then. Maybe a 0.5 or 2% at most. But if you have it live on your phone or live on a computer, you should be able to see what the price of the metal you're purchasing is quoted on the international market is. So what I want you to do, pay close to that as possible. Now for gold, again, this is about a 2-year video. I haven't bought gold in a little while, so I don't exactly know where it's sitting at, what the most accurate fluctuation might be above spot for your average run-of-the-mill bullion round. Gold Eagle, Maple Leaf, Krugerrands, your Australian nuggets, anything like that. So I would expect, less, about 1% or less is okay. I've seen a lot of times, and again, the more you buy, the better. Typically, if you're buying over 9 or 10 ounces, if you go to like APMEX or SD Bullion or JM Bullion, they will show you on the page there when you're looking at the bullion, they break it down by how many you're purchasing. Oftentimes you'll see 0 to 9, you'll see a price per ounce. You'll see 10 to 20, there'll be another price per ounce. And that number comes down with the more you're buying, if that makes sense for you. But for gold, expect around 40 over spot. For silver, again, I said $1 to $2 over spot. Try to include shipping when you do the calculation. So if you're shopping around, you're hitting like 3 of the big sites, figure out what you want, how much gold, how much silver, do the final calculation, and break it all down, look at the total cost. If you add to the cart the same amount on all 3 sites with different windows open on your computer, you're going to be able to see which one's giving you the best price. Big thing here for me, this is personal, I think a lot of guys will agree with me on this, especially if you're doing this for investment purposes, for just the metal content. Number 3, do not pay extra for graded, slabbed, or numismatic bullion. There's no reason to have Silver Eagles slabbed. There's no reason to have regular run-of-the-mill Gold Eagles slabbed. That is not what their intended purpose was. These are bullion coins. Okay, they do not need to be preserved at MS-67 or MS-70. If you like that, that's great, that's fine. But really, PCGS and NGC and all those little guys that like to create jobs for themselves, let them grade coins that are actually numismatic from the ancient days. And even then, I got a lot of problems with the grading industry. You can send the same coin in to different grading outfits a dozen times, and you'll get a dozen different grades. There's articles on this. It's kind of a it's kind of a hokey scam. All right, let's just put it that way. I don't buy graded coins. I'm not into them at all. I'm not going to pay the extra amount to have them graded. I just don't trust it. It's not something I subscribe to. It's not something that I care for, especially if you are in this just to get a foothold with metal content and increase your weight, increase your exposure, how much weight in silver or gold you have. No reason to blow extra money to have a coin looked at by a guy with white gloves who is offering his opinion and assessment of its condition, whereas 3 other individuals might offer absolutely separate and different opinions that sway the perceived value of this coin as a collectible piece. So I don't like the paying extra for graded or slabbed coins. Now, if you find slabbed or graded coins and they're selling them for, let's say, as close to spot as any other coin, go ahead, go for it. I have some slabbed coins that are bullion. But guess what? I got them literally for bullion price. There was nothing marked up. The fact that they were slabbed had nothing to do with the price. It didn't raise the price on them at all. They were just unloaded from a major bullion dealer for the value of the gold, basically as bullion, $30 or so over spot. So I didn't get taken there. But that takes me into the numismatic area. A lot of people say, oh, I'm going to buy some pre-33 gold. That's the gold I want. And I don't believe in the protection of versus confiscation on pre-33 gold or not. So don't even pay attention to that argument. When you hear people start talking about confiscation versus pre-33 or post-1933 gold, it's not something to pay attention to. If they want gold, they're gonna get it regardless of the dates on it. And I don't think it's a very viable thing anyway. That's a side. It's a distraction argument. If you're buying pre-33 gold, most likely you are going to be paying a numismatic price upon that is higher than the amount you should be paying for gold if you're just trying to go for weight. Now, if you want some nice gold eagles from the past because you like history, go for it. Throw them in your case and look at them and talk about history with your friends and neighbors. But it's not a way to increase the amount of gold you have, if you know what I mean. Buying a $20 gold piece from 1933 or earlier, well, you can't get a 33, we know that, but from the 20s and the 30s, early and 1800s, you're going to often pay more than you would if you were to just purchase some modern bullion, straight up gold that was mined last year and struck by the U.S. Mint or Canadian Mint or the Royal Mint or the Australian Mint, South African Mint. If you're just buying modern minted bullion that was mass produced, you should be able to get a better deal and more gold than if you're buying classical gold that might have a numismatic price tag. Now remember, numismatic is that collectability attribute to a coin or bullion piece. Okay, it's that price above its metal content. And I would say steer away from that if you can, if your end goal is just getting metal. So again, that's I elaborated on that rule number 3. Do not pay extra for graded or slabbed or numismatic bullion. They're all of them are kind of looped in that. Number 4, expect immediate delivery of the physical. Okay, this is huge. When your funds clear, you better have a tracking number. Do not let them give you the runaround. If you have to bug them, bug them. If you have to, and again, most places are very good about this. The companies that I recommend or talk about are often very, very good at this. I've never seen a problem with them. I have seen problems with other companies. I'll come straight out and say it. Monex, M-O-N-E-X. I'll never recommend them again. I'll never put them as a listed company that I trust because of multiple problems I heard from friends and family who had purchased metal from Monex. Huge delays in shipping. Giving in the runaround of one individual I know didn't even get a shipping notification for like 30 days. And he was calling and bugging them and trying to get his metals. And they gave him the runaround, and that's concerning. Anytime you order, it was a pretty large order. I believe he had around 15 to 20 ounces of gold coming his way. And they gave him the runaround. They weren't giving him, straight up answers. He wasn't getting his metal delivered physically, and that's a problem. So I've never heard of a problem with Provident Metals, ST Bullion, JM Bullion, Quality Silver Bullion, Gainesville Coins. I've never ordered from them. I know that they were trusted and they were recommended by viewers here. APMEX, very solid, very good. I've never had an issue or even heard of an issue with APMEX when it comes to delivery of metals. So these are all, companies that I do trust. Now, there are newer companies on the scene. If I haven't ordered from them, I can't vouch for them. I don't know. You're going to have to ask others here. We're going to have to turn to the comments and see what people's opinions are down there. It's been a while since we've had this discussion, so I don't know what some of the newer companies on the scene are like. All I know is if you apply these rules to them, we'll see how they hold up to these rules. But expect immediate delivery of your physical metal. Now that goes across the board. That means I don't want you storing them in a Roth IRA. So I'm talking to you, boomers. Edith, Mildred, Gerald, Jerry, Dave, whoever you are out there, John, if you're a boomer, and you're going to have people saying, hey, you should get a Roth IRA. You've probably seen the commercials and you've heard them. I do not want you moving any of your retirement, your 401k, your pension, your Roth, ever into precious metals with any company whatsoever. Because here's the deal. They're not going to let you take it physically. Unless you can get it dollar for dollar transferred physically as close to spot as possible. So have your nieces and nephews help you figure it out. So with that rule, if they can't get you the metals within 2 weeks of payment being cleared, it's a no-go. Just tell them you'll take your money and your business elsewhere. Done deal. If they can't deliver it, they don't deserve your money. Number 5, this is a big rule, and I want you to obey it and pay attention to it. If you hear their ads on AM radio, or they are pushed by a radio talk show host, avoid them. That includes Sean Hannity, Mark Levin, Glenn Beck, anybody. If it's a conservative radio show, if it's on the news, if you're watching Fox News and an ad pops up and says, call this number to transfer your money into gold, don't do it. Stop. Hit the brakes. Pause. Take a breath. If you have to, message me here. Say, what do I do, Junius, on this video in the comments, and I will tell you, do not do it. Do not do it. Stop. I can guarantee you, if you make that call and you make contact with any gold company that you heard an advertisement for on an AM radio, or they were pushed by a radio talk show host, or if you saw them on the news, especially Fox News, you will be ripped off. You will pay more than spot. You will lose wealth. And you will be extremely stressed out, anxious, and disappoint your family in doing so. This is a way to get destroyed. Okay, these are huge, multi-billion-dollar scams, and you are their prey, and they are the predator. Avoid them, run from them. These are the people that are giving gold a very bad name. So do not be a sucker, and keep your head on a swivel. That is rule number 6. Don't be a sucker. Don't be a sucker. Keep your head on a swivel. Be observant. Look around. Defend yourself. Please, for my sake, for your sake, for the sake of the reputation of gold and silver itself. Now, before we get into the articles that really spawned today's video on this and this reminder, I'm going to, again, revisit some of the things I wrote to you all in the past and we covered in past videos. I would urge you, again, to avoid any companies you hear on AM radio. That's a given. I would urge you to avoid any companies you hear on the news or see ads for on the television. Please, email this to your older family members, your grandmother, your grandfather. They need to hear this so they don't spend your inheritance away. This is the way you're going to preserve family wealth. You want to preserve your family's dynastic wealth. Well, the only way to save it is to keep it from falling into the hands of these crooks and thieves. Remember, I make no money off of this. I have no vested interest in this whatsoever. No stock in any of these companies like SD Bullion or JM Bullion. I don't get a penny from them. None of these people help me. They don't know who I am. I'm just out here trying to do this as essentially a service to those of us out here that are also peasants trying to scrape up some gold and preserve our wealth. Now, I would urge you to avoid these companies and others like them because there are more. The list grows all the time. Avoid Goldworth Financial. Avoid Lear Capital, Wholesale Direct Metals. Avoid metals.com. Okay, I added that one because it's a new one. But U.S. Gold Bureau and Birch Gold. And then, this is also not listed in here, but 7K Metals. If you hear of them, that's the Ponzi scheme, the pyramid scheme, whatever, the multi-level marketing gold guys. Get rid of them, avoid them, run from them. Please run from them. And if you are part of that, get off my page. If you're a 7K metal person, just get the hell off my page. I don't even want to see your comments. I don't want to see you defending 7K metals. Get the hell out of here and quit. You're done. You're dead to me. This is from one of our viewers, and this is what these companies do. This is a true story. I know this story well, and I'm going to revisit it again here in quotations. This is his words. Quote, also stay away from Lear Capital, Wholesale Direct Metals, U.S. Gold Bureau, and Birch Gold. My folks bought gold and silver from all four and got totally raped, paying up to 40% premiums and getting baited and switched into buying modern, slabbed, and graded semi-numismatic coins. Just Google Goldline Glenn Beck lawsuit. All four of the companies pulled the same shit with my folks. These companies need to be exposed and stopped. And that's from viewer Chris Stobel. Thank you, Chris, for that comment you gave me several years ago. And again, I post down here, do not post anything from 7K Metals or ISN Coins. Both schemes. These are pyramid schemes trying to rip you off through monthly membership fees and various charges. One of them tries to hawk you a slabbed coin a month that is worth half the value they ascribe to it. This is no joke. I've seen it. I actually had an individual approach me, and they want to give you a slabbed coin, and they tell you it's worth like $50. It's worth like 20. So rule number 1, don't sign up for anything. No network marketing. If you obey that rule, you won't get duped. If you've had a bad experience or get ripped off and can validate a serious and questionable transaction, let the community know and drop it down here into the comments so that we can revisit this video and keep up to date on news such as that. Now let's get into some of the news and why I came out with this reminder today. Timing's great, the holidays are coming, but apparently people are still getting ripped off. And my last videos were not viewed by apparently enough Americans and people around the world to run from this and put these scammers out of business. Recently, I fully deleted Instagram. For no other reason, just to completely escape social media and be done with it. Deleted it, gone. I'm not even on Facebook. Facebook is, in my opinion, absolutely useless. It's just a waste of time, a waste of effort, a waste of everything. So social media happens to be a very good place to trap people, however. A lot of people are duped on there, catfished into relationships, wealth stolen from them. Many things can be traced to social media. So I saw this article today, or it might have been yesterday. Warn your parents about gold and silver coin scams. And I said, you know what? I'll do better than that. I'll warn everybody's parents that I can. I'll warn you guys, and then you can warn your parents. So warn them. Send them this video. Send them the earlier videos we've made on this. I'll put those down, the links to them, in the comments and in the end of the video. But we need to warn the older population and generation, the boomers and such, that there's people after their wealth, after their retirement. And article after article is popping up on these silver retirement scams, and they're detailed in these articles on what's taking place. So these gold and silver retirement scams. An investigation by courts detailed these scams, which con seniors into moving their retirement funds to volatile precious metals investments. Now, precious metals are not really volatile. However, I'm sure these scams that they're looking at are, because they're forcing people to purchase coins at much higher values than their actual worth. Gold and silver investment scams aren't new, but they've been directed at conservative seniors on Facebook over the past 2 years. So this has been taking place since my earlier videos came out on this subject. Facebook has since cracked down on the offending ads, but here's how they worked. The scammers targeted ads to Americans aged 59 and up who indicated an interest in conservative politics. Those ads, which mostly led viewers to a website called metals.com, promoted gold and silver as a way to protect your retirement savings from a coming economic crisis or drastic actions by Democrats in Washington. After supplying their information online, people got bombarded with phone calls and text messages warning them to protect their retirement accounts. So they used some fear tactics. And I understand, what they did is they exploited what were some most likely obvious pieces of news and information, because hyperinflation, inflation, those are concerns. We all share those. But what they did is they duped these older people into, with excessive fear tactics, into moving 100% of their entire net worth, perhaps, or all of their retirement, all of their savings, into investment vehicles that they controlled. A lot of times slabbed or numismatic coins that were assessed at values higher than their true value, and essentially took a lot of the money from these people. And you'll see why that is. I just saw one earlier when perusing these articles. They were selling these people coins at twice the real value. That's a tremendous amount of theft. Here's one example, and these are the type of things that happen when you answer an AM radio ad, or you go with someone like Glenn Beck who recommends them, or Sean Hannity, or any of these buffoons. Eventually, she agreed, and at the direction of the salesman, she said she transferred $83,000 of her retirement savings into a self-directed individual retirement account, an IRA. A special kind of IRA that allows a broader range of investments, including precious metals. Then, with the salesman's help, her $83,000 was used to purchase silver coins from Chase Metals to be held in the IRA. Separately, she bought $60,000 worth of coins that she had delivered directly to her home. When she checked her IRA's balance online, She said it turned out that instead of the $83,000 she expected to have, her holdings were worth less than a third of that. And that's because the price of the coins she purchased was far higher than the value of the precious metals they contained. So she got bit. Yep, they sold her coins for a numismatic value and took that money and ran. These are all over online. You're going to see articles and different stories regarding these schemes, these precious metals schemes. Calling one guy the Wolf of Wall Street as an influencer, Instagram influencer, and he's out there persuading people to transfer their money. A lot of it being found on Facebook. Law enforcement struggling to even be able to solve these crimes. The scare tactics that are used to sell overpriced silver to older conservatives. And that's a big thing. It's the overpriced coins. I'm not making that up when I say that there's people out there trying to sell bullion for more than it's worth just because they slapped it in a slab. Now, they're also asking for people to report some of these businesses if they think someone they know has been scammed. But the precious metal scheme that was used, fear and Facebook to trick older conservatives. This made some pretty big news around the country, and there were several headlines and articles regarding this topic. Now, metals.com, we warned you about them, and they're kind of the main culprit in today's stories. Their pitch was not novel. The gold industry is notorious for fear-based appeals, and the company's own tactics echo those of the gold seller Goldline International. And I warned people of Goldline International back then, telling them to stay away from them. And you can see that in the comments and in the video descriptions from the earliest where to buy and not buy gold and silver. We were on point back then saying Goldline needed to be avoided. And sure enough, it was brought to light earlier this decade. Goldline, also accused of inflating its prices, had to refund its customers $4.5 million in a court settlement. So think of that, $4.5 million. I wonder how much was actually lost. It had to be more than that. That's just what they settled with some customers. So people lost their wealth. By not heeding the earlier rules and paying attention, they were ripped off, robbed. Invoices show that Chase Metals sold Mateo 8,050 polar bear and cub coins. Oh my God. Worth just garbage. Each of which contained 1.5 ounces of silver. So the silver's worth something. I'd melt those down into bars. Who wants a polar bear and cub coin? These are bullion coins made by the Royal Canadian Mint and contain metal that melted down would have been worth about $26 at the time. That's in its silver weight. Again, these are 1.5 ounce silver coins. Another company offered the coin online for $33 that same month. Today, they're worth about $30 depending on how many you buy. Chase Metals charged Mateo $56 each, a markup of 115% above the melt value. $56 for an ounce and a half of silver, ladies and gentlemen. This is the type of robbery we're looking at here. This is why you gotta, again, remember my point earlier. One of the other rules was what? Pay as close to spot as possible. So somebody please print off the JUNIUS MALTBY commandments for buying metals. We need them carved into a tablet somewhere. These are the rules in which we must abide to prevent thieves like this from existing. It should be everywhere. These rules need to be abided by. Unbelievable. $56 for an ounce of silver, an ounce and a half of silver. It makes me want to just strangle these people for doing this. They give silver and gold a bad name. They really do. And they hinder the growth of this community and this industry, just the community of sound money in general. It puts a really big black eye on precious metals, because once people get a bad taste in their mouth like this, they don't tell just one person. They tell everybody to steer clear and avoid silver and gold and run from it. They lost their wealth from it, and it creates a very bad reputation for precious metals. So it's within our interests to defend precious metals because we know the truth and what is good and right. However, there are these thieves that absolutely corrupt what is a good thing. They are corrupting what is a good thing. So again, avoid the ads you see on Fox News. Here's an image right here from foxinsiders.com, which hosted this page. It contains digital metadata that listed its author as Chase Metals, okay, and the phone number no longer works. But here you go, you're all set. Here's a one-time special offer. They even offer you some money. They show a little gold bar there, and they tell everyone they're going to receive $899 cash to apply towards their gold and silver retirement at no cost. And there's a countdown clock, and it's only valid for the next 15 minutes. And then, of course, Sean Hannity's viewers, call now. Sean Hannity tied to it. So, everyone should blast him. Call Sean Hannity and ask him why he allowed so many elderly people to be ripped off and robbed with his name. Robbed with his name. And it happens too often on these AM radio shows. They're so quick to sell their name and their advertising for $1 that they'll let anyone in their constituency or in their base be ripped off and robbed blind. Here's another one, Fox News viewers, free retirement newscast. And these ads popped up everywhere, all over the place, ripping people off. So, that's my warning there. You've seen the rules. We've covered the news stories, the updates. I haven't really changed who I recommend to purchase from. I kind of stick with the same old group. I really like AppMex. I'm just a big fan. Never had a problem with them. SD Bullion, JM Bullion, good companies, good prices. I do like some of the YouTube community. There's some really good pourers out there with good bars. I know Scottsdale's not really a YouTube community pourer, but they make Scottsdale Mint makes some great silver bars. I like their buttons and their bricky loaf-shaped bars. Pitt Bullion makes some good silver bars. I like his bars. I like when he pours a good standard brick for somebody. Does a good strike on the surface where it declares the purity and the weight. Now, one thing with me when it comes to the YouTube community, I'm just going to put this out there. I might get some flack for it, but that's okay. I had a coin made, and that was made by a reputable mint. So it came from quality silver bullion. It had a specific weight and purity to it. It was professionally struck. No questions about it. It was 3/9 silver. It was 1 ounce of silver. You knew what you got. And there was a little bit more of a premium on top of that than I would recommend for investing. That's why I think, having 1 or 2 of them was fine. If you wanted to buy a tube, good for you. But it wasn't like a huge hedge coin. It was kind of a fun thing that we did. And I don't have a problem with people buying community metals. I think it's awesome. It's a great support, a great communication tool, a great thing that we do here. But when you're hedging, I wouldn't put a large amount of wealth into these not really well-known pores and such. If they're of measurable size, if they're a size that you can determine the purity and weight, and it's easily capable of being transferred, if you have a 100 ounce or 10 ounce or 50 ounce YouTube pour, you're going to want to be able to move that in the future if you have to. So you're going to want to make sure that it's recognizable as being, yes, this is a legitimate bar of silver. If it's in some bizarre shape like a coffee mug or an action figure, a figurine of some type, you might have a more difficult time transferring that silver as an investment vehicle than you would if it was a more reputable poured bar or coin or ingot, if that makes sense. So I'm not slamming people that like to pour different shapes and stuff. I'm just saying, in a scenario of, we're moving wealth now. We're in a time period where fiat has gone extinct. I think having figurines and action figures and X-Wing fighters poured out of silver might not be the best vehicle for moving metal. You might have to remelt them. Of course, if they're 3/9 silver, that's fine. You can remelt them perhaps and pour them into a bar, have them assayed and struck, and then have a 1 ounce, a 2 ounce, a 3 ounce, a 4 ounce, a 5 ounce, or a 10 ounce bar. I just think they're more transferable, more recognizable, and easier to use as currency rather than action figures, figurines, and things like that. That's just my opinion on that. All right. Thanks for tuning in on where to buy and not buy. Emphasis on not buy gold and silver in today's day and age. Help your family, help your friends, spread the message, and spread the video. Don't forget to like and to share, and for tuning in here on the JUNIUS MALTBY channel. Happy holidays.